This is the serial position curve. It's one of the classic experiments done in experimental psychology. What it shows is that when you present people with a list of information, in this case 16 bits of information, it shows a number of really important things about how the brain processes information. And the first thing it shows is that typically people will not be able to process 16 bits of information in one presentation, because we know that working memory typically processes between 7 plus or minus 2 bits. But what's even more interesting and significant is that this information isn't processed randomly. We typically pick up more of the information presented at the beginning, and this is referred to as the primacy effect. What that means is if you present people with 16 bits of information, they will probably get 3 of the first 4. And this reflects a general human principle. It's like when we have an interview, we often get the job or don't get the job in those first perhaps 30, 40 seconds. And it's similar on the first day. It either works very quickly or it doesn't work at all. And this has an evolutionary base. If we go back to when we lived in caves on the campons or wherever, that when we were presented with a new stimulus, we had to make a very quick decision. Is it going to eat us? Is it going to hurt us? Can we eat it? Whatever. The brain is basically programmed to take in a lot of information at the beginning. However, what typically happens, and if we look in teaching situations, is that we might be able to get attention early on in the lesson, it's pretty good, but eventually if we keep going on with the same method, in other words, we're talking for 20 minutes or more, that typically attention drifts off and the brain switches off. However, if suddenly there's a change in the stimulus, we get what's called a von Restorff effect. And what this means is that when presented with a novel or significantly different stimulus, the brain then kicks in and starts to process again. And eventually, if the brain has processed this and is comfortable with it, it will then start to go back to its more relaxed state. But interestingly enough, towards the end of any event, when we know there's an ending, it seems to kick in again. And I've observed over many years in different countries that I've seen students virtually asleep in class, but they tend to wake up just towards the end. And what we know is that the brain again will kick in quite well towards the end of the event. So if you're in an interview situation, finish it strongly. Good eye contact, bit of a smile, firm handshake. And it's the same with a lesson. Finish it with a clear, summary, positive frame, linkages to what's coming in the future. So the serial position curve, really important for teaching and learning. The way you design and structure the learning experience, it can take into account the way the brain processes information. As demonstrated by the simple experiment, you're a long way to getting better attention and engagement and more effective learning with your students.